Oh, look at this. Now I'm getting emails. Okay, so here's another, like, bad guilt thing. I get, like, 5 miles for every, like, advertisement I look at for this email thing. I'm trying to get off this stupid... Yeah, I'm trying to get off this stupid, like, survey mile thing. It just takes up so much time. It's completely ridiculous. I wonder how many people there are like me. I bet it's kind of a big thing in this economy. But anyway, so there's this one I look at, and like half the time it's just an advertisement for, you know, clothing or whatever. But a lot of the time it's the charitable organizations, and so I have to like get credit for like looking at these like little guilt ads, even though I never donate. They're like, how often do you donate? So now this one today is like, how often do you donate to help hungry or homeless children? I'm like, oh, come on! I'm already dealing with that on the other tab.
But you know that's what happens.
But I could change it from never to sometimes. No, I usually do put sometimes, because like there was a period of like a year or so when me and this girl were splitting one of the African children.
Like romantically, or?
No, just splitting the bill. We were both paying like $12 a month instead of $24 a month. And when I was like, ooh, it'd be cute to be altruistic, plus we wanted to say that we had adopted an African child, so we always did. Even though we weren't even like that close of friends, it was just like funny one day. So then we were supposed to like, you know, both look at his pictures and get reports, but basically the bill was in my name and like all the pictures and letters and stuff she did. It was like, it's funny, I was totally the guy and she was totally the girl. She's this like straight girl that I worked with. Like I said, I was like between friends and acquaintances or whatever. We weren't even close. But, like I really just footed the bill all the time, and then like when we would see each other at a party once every other month, she would tell me how little Malcolm was doing, and I was like, oh, that's great. And she would show me like a picture. Like we really were like his fucked up adopted parents over here in America playing out our role.
That's funny.
It was funny. And then finally, like that credit card that was on, it expired and I got a new one, and I just like never updated it. And like several months later, I was like, oh, you know, whatever happened, because they never sent me any kind of thing, which is really kind of.
That's the point of sending you the pictures, to remember to.
Yeah. Oh, they were sending everything to her. Oh, yeah, that's right. And so eventually, she came up to me and said, have we, you know, lapsed on our son? And that's when I was like, oh, have we? And then I figured out that, you know, we had and stuff. And then I was just like, I'll just let it be lapsed. And in fact, oh, God, I really should feel bad about this. I think that, like, I didn't realize it at the time, or I wasn't sure anyway. When she, like, paid me her last several payments, she probably actually paid me for a couple of months, but it was lapsed and I didn't know it. But I still donated. I still definitely paid several months for that kid. At least a few.
Yeah, so she paid for the pictures as well. Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. She paid for all that. Yeah, she got to feel, like, more better about it than I did. Oh, altruism. Do I believe in it? No. No, I don't. I believe we're selfish creatures who may not even have any free will at all. But I'm still reading Camden's book, so maybe I'll be able to find out or you know, decide for myself. I mean, like, I'm following him, but it is like a mental strain, you know, especially when fucking, you know, crazy people on the subway are doing their things around you. But like, you know, just and the noise. But anyway, just. And you got, you know, 2 minutes between subway stops. But some of his arguments, I mean, I really like him, so I'm kind of biased. I want to agree with him. I want him to be persuading me, but I try not to let that bias my thinking. And so, like, I have all these factors going on, but just, like, going with him, I'm like, I don't know. Where are you going with this, Dan? I really, really want you to have the answers. Not that I ever want to really have my mind made up, though, because I've had my mind made up before. You know, in the Mormon religion, even with my doubts, like I've had my paradigms all laid out for me, and then I've come into this wonderful world of, you know, a no holds barred, you know, no holds paradigm barred. And so, if I ever did like have my mind made up, I remember being afraid of that, especially as I saw myself very typically becoming liberal and leaving the Mormon church, and, you know, like leaving religion behind in college, like it's the typical thing. It's like, I also noticed a trend that when people are 30, a lot of them tend to, or get toward that age, a lot of them tend to become more conservative. I mean, this has to do with getting a family and having a few kids usually. But they just start, and it's probably because, you know, they're around people of that same age most of the time, and like these things just happen when people are having kids, whatever. So I've always wondered, like, what is that going to look like for me? And you know, it's one of those weird things to be worried about what your future self is going to think and feel. Like my past self is judging my future self. I mean, is my past self allowed to judge my future self? Like, who cares? If once I get to my future self, I shouldn't give a shit. Except that then you will think, hey, remember when you thought if you become conservative, you're going to be totally duped? It's not going to be because you have better reasons. It's because you've been duped and you've made wrong decisions in your life or whatever. Anyway. So, what was I talking about the lemon here? Oh, so yeah, but even if it's an atheistic framework of understanding the universe, if I ever become completely convinced it's one way or another, I feel like very strange about that, because that's what happens when neurons start dying and you stop making as many synaptic connections. I mean, I see this in my parents, and it's like their thinking is just not as broad as it could be, and it's because the brains literally are dying. And first of all, that's fucking scary and awful to think that your brain is hardening and dying and slowing down. And
it only does it if you let it.
Well, that's what we all. First of all, it's very, cognitively dissonant not to think that. So it's adaptive. You have to think that, and I hope it's true. And I mean, we can all keep doing our crossword puzzles and taking our fish oil and hoping we're, whatever. But
that's not so much.
At some point, you are dying. I mean,
I know. No, but I mean, what you're talking about is. Just need to shift in perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as long as you make sure that you continuously have new experiences all the time. When you get older,
you can either allow routine to master you,
and that's part of it. So many people get in the same, and I think hopefully that's the big part of it. So many people, no matter what their circumstances in life, really do. I mean, it's so much easier to just get into a routine and not, expand your thinking. But if you keep doing new activities, traveling to new places, making new friends, always having different interactions.
My age are a lot more overweight than they could be and were, than I been in the 10, 12 years I've known these people. And it's like, and I was getting that way for quite some time, too, because it's not that of it, but it's really it's a matter of shifting perspective.
You just have to make sure that you do that to yourself. Yeah. The weird thing about being human and the whole free will thing is that it does very much feel like you have to make sure you do that. I feel very much like there's, I'd say maybe a leap, but I feel more like there are two of me. It's kind of like good cop, bad cop, but not really. Kind of like left brain, right brain, I don't know, but there's like, I guess it just feels like super ego. Not even as much id, but like they say there are just two levels of like, maybe it is right brain, left brain. It does feel a lot like that. Sort of, but then sometimes it feels like more like supervisor and, but then really that is left brain, right brain, and id and super ego or whatever. I mean, it's just like, how did that evolve? I mean, that's what consciousness is, kind of. But it's like, which one of me is my consciousness? And so and I'm like, well, maybe that's not about consciousness or not. It's just left brain, right brain. So I'm back to square one on whether or not I really think that consciousness is real, in the sense that, because of course, in some way it's real. It's what, and there's just a semantic issue involved there, obviously. But consciousness in the sense of, obviously I don't want to use the word soul, but something.
Yeah.
That doesn't die. I mean, that's all we're talking about. Not wanting to die.